Hi, everybody. Devin Townsend here, and I am watching you while you watch me on Chaos TV.
Okay, so hello everyone. Chaos TV is today here at the Rytmikorjaamo in Seinäjoki, Finland, and we have here guest Devin Townsend. So first of hello and welcome to Finland, man, once again.
Thank you. What's the name of this town? Is it Seinäjoki?
Seinäjoki.
Seinäjoki.
And the club name is Rytmikorjaamo.
Seinäjoki.
Try to pronounce that.
Rytmikorni audio.
Pretty
I
close.
think if you're a Canadian with one language to your name, Finnish would be one of the harder ones to learn. I think it's a very complicated one for my mouth. I can't roll my R's either, you know.
And they have said that it's actually like the third, like most
I could see that.
difficult language in the world. Yeah.
I can see it. It's a good sound, though. It's not an ugly sound. There's some languages that are both difficult and ugly sounding, and I actually like the sound of Finnish. I imagine Chinese would be difficult, too. Yeah. French is everything in Canada has French on it. I couldn't do that either, and that's like the easiest one, so...
So you're currently on a European tour with Periphery and Shining. So how has the tour generally been so far?
It's been great. Really, really good tour. I think it's not often you get to tour and not have a few people on the tour that you try to avoid for whatever reason. But this has been really good. It feels like a team in a way, and it seems like there's no hierarchy, which is also nice. Yeah. And they're both extremely talented bands too. So, for me, the biggest thing is the personal thing. Beyond that, musically, it's kind of here nor there for me. I found that I have done some tours with bands that I have very little in common with musically, but because we get along personally,
it's enjoyable to do.
I'd prefer that, you know. But at that, it seems like there's also three bands that offer something unique to each other, and so it's been successful.
So you're once again here in Finland.
Yeah, I've been here.
And in Helsinki, there's at the moment a coffee festival going on. So were you actually aware of that?
I wasn't. Maybe I was drawn here by forces beyond me.
I think that it's Siltoid looking for the coffee.
Always looking for it. You know what's funny is I did the new Ziltoid record, and a few years back we did the Ziltoid show here, which was part of the reason why we were fortunate enough to keep coming back. But this tour, I'm trying to focus on different things because I sort of lost my connection to DTP last year. I was like, what am I doing? I'm writing a symphony and I'm writing Casualties Are Cool and I'm doing all sorts of things. And then going back to DTP, I was like, I don't quite connect with this in the way that I did before. So what I did on this tour is I decided to not worry about what people expected or what the audience wanted or Ziltoid or Deconstruction or anything, and just go back to the catalog and try and play some songs this time that I wanted to hear that I've never played before, Ocean Machine and Infinity and Accelerated and Ziltoid, of course, and all these things, but it's been a lot more of a real experience for me, like without the suit and all this sort of thing. And I think this tour acts as a good transition between what I was doing before and hopefully what I'm going to do in the future. And I'm having a real good time. It's really nice to play songs. It sounds strange to say that, but hopefully if you see the show, you'll sort of see what I mean.
So you just recently won an award at the Juno Awards for the title Metal/Hard Music Album of the Year. That's pretty strange category, but what were your first thoughts when you saw that you actually won it? And what does those kind of like awards mean to you personally?
Well, I think it's a popular thing to say is that awards don't mean anything to you, but they do. It means something to me. It meant a whole lot to me. I like Canada for a number of reasons, politics and people and all that stuff aside. I was raised there, and I write music best when I'm in situations that I'm surrounded by nature and when there's seasons. I like it when it rains. I like it when it snows. I like seasons. I like trees. I like mountains. I like rivers. And with that around me, I write. I mean,
So Finnish is
works
Finland
great.
is pretty good
No, it's
for
good.
writing as well, I
Very
guess.
much.
Yeah.
Very much. Los Angeles is shit.
Yeah.
You know? So when I'm in countries that have nature, I feel very creatively charged. And Canada is very similar to the geography, northern Sweden, Finland, Norway, and so I relate. And so, for some reason, when I was younger, maybe it's because I moved to America quickly for the Steve Vai thing, or toured extensively outside of Canada, but it's been very difficult for me to get any momentum in Canada.
Okay.
You know, it's the industry there. I've always kind of wanted to be a part of it, but it's never happened for whatever reason.
Okay, I thought that you're like actually really popular in
No,
your own country.
Totally not.
Oh,
Totally not. So, the Juno thing is like the first time where I've had a sort of an invitation to the party.
Yeah.
And it's been 3 years that we were nominated. We were nominated for Deconstruction, Epic Cloud, and now Z2.
Yeah.
And so to get it, I was proud of it. I was really proud of it. I think it's really nice, you know. So yeah, it was a good thing for me. I'm very proud of it.
So I actually did the interview with you for the Silto 2 album, and you said that you actually, after like finishing it, you felt like musically pretty empty.
Yeah.
So how do you feel now?
I'm full.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, when I did those interviews, I did tons of interviews, and we talked, and I think my inspiration changes when I'm forced to do it, and that's a real childish way to be, but
Yeah.
like if someone says, "Write me a record," nothing,
Yeah.
you know. But if they're just like, "Go take a vacation," then I write. It's when I'm surrounded by nature and when I am not forced to write. Like if I get bored of writing or recording, I can just say, "I don't want to do this anymore," and then walk away from it and go for a walk or go with my family or what have you. Then writing is just, I don't even think about it. I just write, and that's where I'm back to now. Because I managed, since the interviews that we had done, and all the interviews I did for Z2, I talked to the management of the label, and I just politely, I think, asked them to stop putting so much work. Yeah, and I ask for a lot of it too. It's not just them forcing me, but I get excited. I get excited. They're like, "Well, would you like to do this?" I'm like, yeah. And how about this? Yeah.
For some people, it's hard to say no.
That's it.
I'm also one of those guys. Yeah.
Totally. So now I've been trying to learn to say no, and I can say firsthand that it's really a good thing, and it's inspiring.
So can you reveal us already that what kind of like plans do you have writing wisely?
I'm writing a symphony.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm going to record it in Belgium, and surround sound with a visual counterpart, and it's going to be hybrid. It's going to have a lot of instruments that are not typical for orchestral stuff, and it's going to be a combination of everything. Because typically in the past I would do Strapping Young Lad, or I'd do Key or Ghost or something. But I want to put it together. I want to have something that goes between the extremes of beautiful, like really, really sublime and beautiful, to just total chaos, like hellish apocalypse. And I'd like to have a point to it that isn't a story. I'd like to have it to do with human things, emotions that I currently struggle with, because I don't find myself emotionally very intelligent. So the things that happen in my life that force me to learn it are also inspiring. Loss or sadness or happiness or embarrassment or any of these things. And so my plan is to make something that is massive in scope, but is not bombast totally.
Okay.
Deconstruction was a lot of layers and over the top and everything, but it's also something that sometimes you're just like, no.
But wasn't Silto 2 like in a way the same kind of project?
Very much. But I also think that Sky Blue, the other side of the Ziltoid project, gave it a bit of balance. But I think the bottom line is, music for me is an exhaust port for life. And if I have a chaotic year, then I'm going to write a chaotic record, and that's what happened with Ziltoid, with Z2. So asking the people close to me to lay off the work will allow me, in my mind, to not write something that's chaos, but have something where the chaos is something that I can manage and control and turn into dynamic as opposed to just an onslaught, right? So that's the next thing. Plus, Casualties are cool. Che and I are continuing to write with Morgan, and I love that. And then I also continue with DTP in some ways, you know, like we write. But I mean, it sounds like it's a lot, but the reason why it's that is I don't think about when I write what it's going to be for. I just write, and then
just happens.
Yeah. And then you're like, well, I guess that would work with DTP. I guess that would work with Casualties. I guess that would work with a symphony, you know.
But I guess you don't have a time frame for those that you can basically, you know, work.
Well,
I don't know if you can even say the word relaxed environment, but in such a way, yeah.
You know, I relax. I'm a high anxiety person. As much as I try and convince myself I'm not, I'm very high strung. So what helps me to relax is to have projects. If I stop completely, I get very bored. I went to a retreat in New Mexico in the desert where you're meditation and sitting and I just you know, I did for a while, but I really enjoy creating things. And for me, when I was sitting there, other than slowing down my mind, which is nice, sitting there doing nothing, I'm like, well, I might as well, this is just a waste of my life. I've got so many things that I want to do. Prior to that, I had thought that maybe my work was a complete escape, like I was trying to escape from thinking about me and my mind and life and all this stuff by flooding myself with work. But I find that my work is actually what helps me think about me and my mind and my life. And to not have projects, I'm like, what am I doing? You know, let's do something. So I make furniture or little pictures or a draw or anything. As long as I'm doing something creative, I'm happy, and that's relaxing for me.
So for Ziltoid, you released that like unboxing video where you actually showed the guitars for it. So could you tell us a bit about that?
Well, that guitar isn't here tonight because it's too big to ship.
Okay.
It would have cost me €5,000 to ship it.
Oh shoot.
The case is bigger than this tabletop.
Okay.
So I'm bringing it over to Europe for the Royal Albert show, and I'm leaving it in Europe so I can use it here.
Okay.
But in order to get it here, I've had to take it apart, like disassemble it in pieces, and I mean, but it's Framus is. I work with several guitar companies, but Framus is the main guitar company, and they're just so good, such great guitarists, such great people, so supportive. They make me instruments that are preposterously beautiful. You know, and but it's like everything. I work. Framus is the DTP Ziltoid. You know, and I'm working with, you know, my Fender stuff and Hansen guitars in Denmark for Casualties. You know, old school Telecasters. And PV.
So a lot of different kinds of companies and guitars as well.
Yeah, and I mean, I give away guitars too. I don't want to hoard them. You know, I don't collect guitars so I can have like a harem. They're inspiring to me. If I get a nice guitar, it inspires me. But there's also an element of loyalty. If, for example, Paul Reed Smith wanted to work with me, they're so similar aesthetically and in some ways to the Framus stuff that I wouldn't, for example, use that. You know, but for that guitar, I use the best that I think is possible for that. And then for the Telecasters, I use the best I can use for that. But I don't want to compromise, and I also don't want to offend the companies I work with, so it helps to have it separated, right?
One of our readers wanted to ask that how much time do you usually spend week-wisely for just playing around with guitar and practicing?
All day.
All day.
All day.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's pretty much
Yep.
24/7 with the guitar. Okay.
Yeah, well, maybe not 24.
Yeah.
But I have a guitar with me constantly, and if not a bass, there's, I have one in the living room, I got one in the jam spot, I got one in my parents' house, I got one, at my buddy's house. It's like,
Okay.
and I don't write necessarily, I just play,
Yeah.
and then that way the ideas just keep evolving
Yeah.
without me having to force them,
Yeah.
right? What was frustrating about Z2, because I had to force some of it, and I'll never do that again. I mean, I'm really happy that it was received decent, and the Canadian award and all that. But I was so frustrated with that record because I didn't want to write. I just wanted. I finished the pledge drive and
Yeah.
kids and life and all this sort of stuff. I just wanted to make chairs for a while.
Okay.
So when I was making the Ziltoid thing, because of the pledge drive, I had the opportunity to build the puppet, and it was kind of a now or never thing,
Yeah.
because money just goes when everybody's on salary, and it just goes. So I was like, okay, I have to do this now. And then in doing it, it became, the investment was substantial enough that it didn't make any sense to not do a record. And then all of a sudden, when I was doing the record, after doing Peppa Cloud and Addicted and all this stuff, it didn't make much sense to have the next record that we do be this weirdo puppet thing.
Yeah.
So Sky Blue started, and it was just a pain in the ass. However, as I'm fairly sure I had said to you in the interview, I'm very proud of the record too, because
you said that.
I finished it in a way that I was satisfied with, and that was an accurate representation of that process, uncomfortable as that process may be. So learning from that and moving forward, I just won't do that again. I won't allow myself to get in a situation where I'm forcing anything. I just really, really don't function well that way.
Okay. So thank you, man, once again for your time, and best of luck for the remaining Finnish shows. Anything you want to say as last words to your Finnish fans watching the interview?
Well, I've been here, Finland. I've been here so much, and it's like, for Finland, I don't know, I'd be sick of me. I really
we
would.
aren't.
Oh, okay, well that's nice. But I'm hoping that we can continue the relationship that we've had. We had the Casualties of Cool show here, and it was really fun. I never played a show where an audience listened like that, and I just found that very intoxicating. So I hope we can do it again, and I'll try and keep it fresh for you. Bye.
Thank you, man.
Cheers, buddy.